How's it going, gamers? It's Chongo here, and today I've got a gameplay commentary for you guys. The gameplay is of Battlefield Hardline on the PC, and today's commentary topic is about the recent controversy of whether Battlefield Hardline should just be DLC for Battlefield 4. So let's get into it. So first off, Battlefield Hardline, as I said in my previous video, the game is fun and it feels very well optimized, especially since, after the Battlefield 4 controversy, I think they've, decided that they need to make sure that this game works well, and that's why they did this really early beta when they announced it at E3, and I think it's good that they have, because it gives people a chance to play the game and decide if they like it and if they want it, and it also gives them a chance to, optimize it and make sure that the game works well on all systems. Now, the problem with this is people are starting to feel that this game is way too similar to Battlefield 4, and I tend to agree with them, because the game just doesn't seem like it's adding that much different to what Battlefield 4 was. I mean, they talk about, oh, there's a zip line, or there's that, and there's this, but it doesn't look all that different, it doesn't feel all that different, to be honest. I mean, until you actually see the gameplay where you see a cop shoot a criminal or a criminal shoot a cop, you can't really tell that it's Battlefield Hardline, it just looks like Battlefield 4. So this poses an interesting question: does a game in the same series have to be different than the previous installment? Now, I'm going to say no, it doesn't. I mean, it just doesn't have to be completely different. Games a part of a series are meant to be similar, that's how they work. But the problem is, this doesn't feel similar. It feels pretty well exactly the same that it could have been just an expansion pack or DLC for Battlefield 4, and that's where people are getting, a little bit annoyed, because they're thinking the launch that Battlefield 4 had, it seems a little bit odd to then, a year later, oh, here's this game that just looks remarkably like a mod or an expansion pack for Battlefield 4. And I mean, there are new weapons, vehicles, maps, modes, all that kind of stuff, but it still feels like an expansion pack. It's really hard to, get that feeling off, because it just feels like that. It's really hard to explain. But I tend to agree with what Inside Gaming at Machinima said, when they basically said that if mods were allowed in Battlefield 4, this kind of thing would have already been created. And the problem with that is that this should have been DLC. It just feels way too similar to the game, and it just feels like something that could have been, an expansion pack. And it also feels quite similar to a game expansion that was released a long time ago for Battlefield Bad Company 2, the Vietnam expansion, which was really awesome. So for those of you that don't know, Battlefield Bad Company 2 was released in March 2010, and it was a really awesome game. I really liked the destructibility in it, but that's getting a bit off topic. But it was really cool for them to have a game like this, and then I think it was 9 months into the launch, so at the very end of 2010, they released Battlefield Vietnam that was just an expansion pack for Battlefield Bad Company 2. And I think it costed around about $20 from memory, it might have been less, but it came with new maps, new guns, new vehicles, as well as a whole new setting. It was set in, the Vietnam War, as opposed to modern day like Bad Company 2 is set. So it was cool to have something like that was, it wasn't a completely new game, and they realized that, so they put it as an expansion pack or DLC, but it was still quite fun, and it still felt like a whole new experience within Bad Company 2. The only real difference between Bad Company 2's Vietnam expansion pack and Hardline is Hardline comes probably with a lot more maps and a story mode. But when people go to play a game like this, they don't go for a story mode. That's not their main reason for playing a game like this. So I think EA should have pushed this as a standalone expansion pack for Battlefield 4 and made it something like, I don't know, $30 for people who don't own Battlefield 4 and $20 for those who do. And I think that would have sold quite well for them, and it would have, probably made up for the fact that a lot of people are going to avoid Hardline straight after Battlefield 4's launch. And especially since some people think this is a mod or an expansion pack, people are obviously going to avoid the game because they think that it shouldn't cost as much as a full price game. But I definitely think Battlefield Hardline is a solid game. It feels quite well, it runs well, there's no real problems with it, it's just that it's too similar to Battlefield 4. And considering the launch Battlefield 4 had, I don't think there's going to be a lot of people wanting to buy this, especially when it looks like an expansion pack or DLC for Battlefield 4. So for now, I think I'm going to stick with Battlefield 4, because after the patches that they've done, it feels like quite a good game. They've fixed the tick rate, it doesn't seem to be as big of an issue getting shot behind walls or anything like that at the moment, as well as I'm noticing less rubber banding when I do go to play that game. So anyway, I don't know what you guys think about this, whether you'll be picking up Battlefield Hardline, waiting for it to go on sale or half price, or whether you think it is way too similar to Battlefield 4 and you're not really interested in it at all. Put those comments down below, and if you want to join the Gamerhood, just subscribe. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time.